Hey guys, welcome to Talking Roll Express episode 12 in your house, the Great White North, presented by Lewis, Thomas, Oliver and Cammy. A few facts about the Great White North before we begin. It was the 4th edition of the In Your House, produced by WWF at the time. It was preceded by a triple header and would be followed by seasoned beatings. It occurred on October 22nd, 1995 at the Winnipeg Arena in Manitoba, Canada. It drew an audience of 10,339 people. It consisted of 6 matches, giving it a runtime of 1 hour and 54 minutes. On commentary you have Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. Match-wise you have Fatu versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Smoking Guns versus 123 Kid and Razor Ramon, Marty Jannetty versus Goldust, King Mabel versus Yokozuna, Dean Douglas versus Razor Ramon for the IC title, and in the main event, Diesel versus British Bulldog for the world title. Right guys, initial impressions of this pay-per-view.
Well, it was it might have been the Great White North, but for me it was just the White North. There was nothing great about this pay-per-view. And
you could have said the Great Shite North.
Right. Let's if you're listening at home, pretend I said the Great Shite North. But yeah, when we were watching In Your House 3, and the promo for In Your House 4 was you get to meet Goldust. You just knew you were in for a bit of a limp dick, and this pay-per-view was just thumbed in. It wasn't phoned in, it was thumbed in.
I don't personally remember the Undertaker being on the promo for this.
Yeah, was he?
Can I imagine that?
Wait, so are we referring to the promo that we had saw in the last pay-per-view that we watched?
Yeah, right, the one at triple header. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he might have been, but like
I know cards subject to change, but don't advertise the Undertaker and give me what we're going to talk about.
Can we talk about like the opening? Well, I struggle to call it an opening package. It's not really an opening package, but they're doing like all the aerial footage of Canada. I'm pretty sure like that's the opening from The Shining.
I was about to say.
I was just not offside.
So interesting tidbit, and try and imagine last episode in regards to this era of In Your Houses, I totally gave out about the click, and Thomas fucking warned me. The most ominous of warnings of saying, you're not going to like the next couple of shows. And little naive Cameron turned on the telly. There's Oh Canada the Beautiful or whatever the heck it's called. So I go, feck it, I'm going to go get a protein bar or something like that. So I come back and Gorilla Monsoon has just stopped talking. But the gist that I got from it is Michaels has given up the belt for some reason. I was totally blind to the reasons. We'll obviously get onto that. I didn't hear the bit where he said, and Razor's going to come out and fight him. So, yeah, like I want to enter the segment later with the complete idea, knowing me and how I feel about the click. I didn't have a fucking clue that Razor Ramon's music was going to hit. I was screaming when that happened. Because there's no announcement. His music just hits. And so, like, I see this Shawn Michaels crying. I'm tasting the tears. I'm loving life. My man, my boy, Dean, he's finally got the belt. It's a great heel move. Everyone's booing him. I think this is great. I bet this is going to be a fantastic program. I can't wait to talk about this in the future. And then all of a sudden, Razor's music hits. And I'm crying and screaming. And it was the most horrible experience of my life. And I want that to just be this is how I felt about the whole pay-per-view. Is I just screamed throughout.
I kind of liked that with Gorilla Monsoon's segment in the opening bit where he was telling us about how, Shawn can't defend the title because he got beat up by the 5, 10, 15, 20 Marines outside the bar in Syracuse. It looks like he was doing it outside the steam room at a Gold's Gym. Like, there's still all the background noise going on. I'm like, could they not have got all the extras just to shut up for 5 seconds while the WWF president, kayfabe, tells us what's happening?
Does he actually say? Does he actually say about the
No, they don't give that.
That's what I was trying to remember. But what does he actually say? What was his actual wording? It was very weird.
Just that he had a concussion.
He had an altercation.
Oh, really?
That's Vince's excuse now, though, isn't it?
I remember for a while they had the Owen Hart angle when Owen done the Enziguri. And that gave Sean a concussion and had him on the fence for a while.
I mean, I personally, I knew we were in trouble when the WWF logo coming out of the ice is the coolest thing about the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right. I think going forward, because we have discussed this at length before, what we'll do is we'll implement a very democratic yay or nay system with regards to the matches. Now, obviously, I will say the match title and we will either go yay or nay. And to start off with, match number 1, Fatu versus Triple H. Yay or nay to discuss this match?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed it for the fact that obviously knowing what we know now, it feels like you're watching a prequel.
Yeah,
just for that reason. So it's like pointing out and be like, oh, that's Triple H and Rikishi. And
yeah, I think for me, it was quite a fun old school type face versus heel type match. It was nothing, there was no frills about it. It was a decent opener. I don't think by discussing it, we're going to spend long on it anyway, because there's not a lot to take from it, but it was just very black and white.
It was fun to see Fatu be Rikishi. Basically, for me, that was about it.
Yeah, one of my only takeaways was the Just Say No tights on Rikishi, and I thought was a Nancy Reagan gimmick really the best thing that they could have came up for this Polynesian babyface.
Of Hunter's crazy British accent.
Oh yeah,
that was bad. Okay, it was so bad it was good, but that was bad.
There was a Godwin sighting.
Oh God, and there's a reason I was going to say.
Oh yeah.
He tried slopping Triple H, but Triple H was not having it. Now that's a wink to the next pay-per-view.
I'm just convinced that you guys have just tricked me into this, and you're all having fun behind my back right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, like it's when the promos come up for like Survivor Series and stuff. I'm like, why are we not watching that? Why have I got to?
We'll cover that. 7 years from now. Absolutely, we'll get round to Survivor Series 95. Don't worry.
You've got to pay your dues, kids.
Yeah,
this is the gym.
It really does. It really does feel like we're jobbing for absolutely nobody at the moment.
You're gonna watch the In Your Houses, and you're gonna like them.
We're enhancement talent for Lewis, basically.
I feel like we've walked up to Vince and he said, "Who do you want to work with?" And then we've said WrestleMania, and he says, "Well, you're going to watch it in your house for a good year or two." Like then we'll think about it.
I mean, Lewis,
we had a very
kind of starting to go as well. Starting to work at Vince each and every week.
Originally, when lockdown started, I will just add this little cliff note. We had a plan that we were going to watch SummerSlam 98 and then In Your House Canadian Stampede, and then we were going to move on to X7 and X8 and all that. And then we enjoyed Canadian Stampede so much that we thought, you know what, we'll try another In Your House. And just like a heroin addict, after that initial high, we have never found it ever again.
We are literally chasing the dragon.
Yes. We're going to get to St. Valentine's Day Massacre and we're going to think, you know what, guys, this series wasn't really that great outside of Canadian Stampede.
We're going to get to WrestleMania 17. We're going to be like, yeah, but the crowd's a bit weak.
I don't know if it's going to end up like Train Spotting, and I'm just going to look up at the ceiling and like Henry O'Godwin is just crawling on the ceiling.
We're gonna try and wean ourselves off of this with Clash of Champions and realise that just like methadone, it's far worse than the initial high.
Most people hate WCW. I don't. They're just arseholes. WWF is colonised by arseholes.
Oh man!
I love how we talked about trimming time, and we have veered so far away in the space of a minute from Fatu versus Triple H. But again,
we're going to go Nate in the next 4 matches, so it's good.
Yes, we'll keep this under 45 minutes. I feel like, and again, this is another thing I've just tippled on, is how much, because we've now, how many In Your Houses have we watched? About 12, 13 or something like that. And I've only just now realised Vince's 1, 2, count whenever somebody goes for a pin. I know that's an absolutely irrelevant thing to say, but I love Vince's little 2 3/4.
I I just find it absolutely mad, like the step change in Vince's character. Like it really does feel like the Montreal screw job just absolutely fucking fried his brain. Because here he's in like, you know, the prim and the thing is, his face looks smoother as well, and it just feels like as soon as the Montreal screw job happened, he just looked withered.
I chalk that up to the Bret Hart documentary where you see him getting all the bronzer put on and that before the Montreal pay-per-view, and I think obviously going forward he sort of capitalised on the word raw. Going forward, I think maybe that was what it was.
It was the punch Bret Hart gave him. It just him.
Just destroyed his soul.
Yeah, Bret Hart hit him so hard it actually sent him to a parallel universe, and a parallel Vince came back.
Into the Vince verse.
Yeah, it was probably
Into the Spider Vince. There we go.
Yeah, but there's no MCU type idea. There's just one world, Vince's. There's no alternate realities crossing over.
But now you've got me thinking about the alternate reality where, you know, Brett stayed and Sean left, and now I'm just miserable.
Undertaker's got American Badass gimmick in Monday Night Nitro.
I like that reality where Sean left and Brett stayed.
The bike gives out halfway down the ramp.
I like also imagining the reality where WCW won the Monday Night Wars, and now there is just no wrestling whatsoever.
I think there's not a reality that does exist. I think Ollie's right. There's no reality where WCW kept going at all.
It just collapsed in on itself.
Can you just jump back to the Taker thing 2 seconds? WCW. I want to see the alternate reality where Taker comes out to the Road Wild pay-per-view. He's the American Badass gimmick. Big Harley.
I'm trying to imagine what they would call the Taker if he went. I'm sure it'd be something like Graveyard Calloway or something like that. Like it wouldn't be like it would be Undertaker, obviously.
Mr. Mortician.
No, that's a bit too underwhelming for the WCW, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, again.
Halloween Havoc though, his debut.
Oh yeah, it would suit the fog and the big pumpkin very, very well. So she
it's the Gravedigger.
God damn it! You've beat me to the punch. That was a much better title than anything I could think of. I'm actually a bit upset now. You've fucking said that. Anyway, regarding Fatu and Triple H, 6.5 stars. You know, it's like no, I can't think.
I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
Yes, I'll give it 2.5 as well. It's very. I like Ricky Shea.
I was gonna say nay, so.
Explain yourself.
Just none.
No.
Please do not explain yourself.
It's the definition of a shrug.
Mm.
We're already 6 weeks into the podcast and we've still not talked about anything else.
Okay. Up next we have the British Bulldog interview. Now, obviously, we've kind of recapped why he never got the belt. It was for that staunch accent of his. But looking back and with retrospect, should he have had a run with the belt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, easily. His British accent was a lot better than Triple H's.
And Drew McIntyre's.
I mean, yeah. I'm not. I don't know. Am I a bad person? I don't really care for or about the British Bulldog, to be honest with you. I think he's out of that sort of gang to come down from the north. He's one of the least interesting, and also on top of that, apparently a bit of a cunt. So why award that?
I've heard he was a bit a mean prankster backstage, but no, as a worker, I was a big fan of him, especially the British Bulldogs in the 80s. And although Dynamite Kid looked to be the kind of breakout star, injuries and his own attitude kind of got in the way. And Bulldog, I thought, done really well in the early 90s. But I love his heel work during about this time. He cuts his hair, and I don't know why he had to cut his hair to become heel, but it seemed to work.
It's nothing more heel than cornrows.
Yeah, that's
some serious cultural appropriation there.
It's every time I think of it, it just like my spine shortens.
I don't know. I don't think the company would have benefited, other than the fact that the Click would have maybe have had less of a say. I don't think at this point it would have benefited the company much. Maybe like in his earlier runs when he was proper roided out, not just this pitiful growth hormone body you're seeing there. I want to see some, skin bursting, man. I don't want to see the stretch marks. But yeah, I don't know.
Cammy, the WBF clips are all there up on YouTube. I don't know why you're complaining. They're only a finger click away.
I'm just gonna hang up the call now, and I'll be back in 5. But yeah, I don't know. I don't find them at this point that interesting. British Bulldogs, yeah, era kind of cool, especially in the scheme of the landscape. But nah, not really.
I do agree with the sentiment. If he was going to get a title, you give him a title in the early 90s off the back of SummerSlam. It's that whole kind of old school thing. I'll give him the IC title, see how it works, and then. But it didn't really hang about for long after Wembley.
I believe it was drugs.
He and Warrior got fired at the same time.
But I don't think Warrior was obviously the ego part, but I'm pretty sure the Jim Neidhart and British Bulldog were not caught so much, but it was found that they were. Was it crack? I feel like might have even been crack.
I think Brett mentioned in one of his shoot interviews that Bulldog was high on cocaine going into the. Oh no, he hadn't slept for like 48 hours because he was on a binge diet. I'm pretty
sure it's some sort of hard drug. Him and Jim Neidhart, they were both let go at the same time as a result. And I'm pretty particular about these things. I'm not too into the idea of drugs. If you're not willing to work hard for
just
the belt,
say no.
You don't deserve it. Fly that Reagan banner. Don't tread on me, man.
I've just realised that on my screen, Thomas is frozen and he's just got the cheesiest grin on his face. I just thought while he was telling that story about like Bulldog being on crack, he just had the fucking biggest grin.
Right now, up next we have match number 2, which is the Smoking Guns versus the 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon. Now,
Nay. Apart from the point that it's fucking ridiculous that Ramon's featured twice in 2 title bouts tonight, we should move on without saying how sorry, I won't give out. Yeah, just ridiculous.
We should point out how ridiculous it is that in that match Razor Ramon is the one with the best haircut.
It's actually terrifying. Yeah, it's terrifying that he does not have a good haircut.
No. It's a terrible angle, nothing but it worked, and I'm sure we'll discuss later, as Cammy was alluding to there, that this is just a Click chokehold. This pay-per-view, and this didn't do anything for me.
Right, match number 3, Marty Jannetty versus Goldust. Yeah or nay?
I think I don't know about discussing the match, but I feel like I'll just want to mention how underwhelmed I was. And I feel like I'm not sure who would have booked it, but I felt like they were trying to put over Goldust while protecting Marty, and then you've got. I was just disappointed by the fact you've got 2 excellent workers, and that just seemed to have been. It didn't work. They just didn't fit.
It was really disappointing because it was really. I was going to say stiff, but. Not in like a oh my god they're punching each other kind of way, stiff, and it just looked
too mechanical.
Yeah, it looked like they were both like made of fucking Playmobil or something.
And sorry.
No, I was going to say, I really like Goldust. I've defended him quite a lot. I mean, he's kind of one of the guys that it was really bizarre that every time I actually did a WWE live, he seemed to be there. This is over like a 20-year period. It's incredible.
Yeah,
and I was really looking forward to this match because I thought, what's it going to be like? And it felt very much a work in progress as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously, that's fine, the idea is going to kind of grow into it, but it seems like he had no idea what to do with it himself at this stage.
Yeah, it felt more Black Rain than it did Goldust at this point.
Well, all we've heard in the What Culture videos and that is how risque, Goldust was for 1995, but I didn't get that feeling at all
He's still wearing cowboy boots, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other thing Goldust will do, and it really kind of taps into that psychology, people's homophobia really well, and I love the character. I think it's so well done. The fact it was a heel kind of shows you how kind of attitudes have changed in recent years. And there's a famous scene, I think it's for Raw, when he's giving Ahmed Johnson mouth to mouth.
Yes.
And Vince McMahon's like, that's disgusting. And it's like, well, Vince, if you're talking about he's doing it on without consent, yeah, I do agree. That's quite shocking. But I don't think that's what you're looking to hear.
I don't think they figured out that part of the gimmick yet. And they must have had, I'm struggling to see what made them make such an investment in this concept. Because, all right, it's nothing crazy, but by 1990, what are we in, 5 at this point? Standards? 95 standards, his entrance is pretty overproduced and exit as well. So obviously they must have saw something for him. And I know for a fact that technical ability-wise, they had all the confidence in the world of him. Like, if we was to reference back to the point where, they wanted Dustin to go up against Hogan when they first brought him in, which obviously that didn't work for him, brother. But other than technical ability, what did they see in the gimmick at this point is the thing that kind of is a big question mark for me. Unless they must have been aware of Adrian Street maybe, and then he just says we will eventually kind of move into that territory. Street being a British wrestler with basically the exact same gimmick as Goldust, but put it in the late 70s, early 80s, I think, kind of era, and it was probably even more effective then, just for the people listening if they weren't aware what I was referencing.
Yeah, just to pull on that. Just to pull on that thread, obviously we all rate Goldust, we'll all defend him, we all love his technical ability, and that was the same for the company. And as you said, with him going up against Hogan, do you feel that Dustin, the person, would have had a better run if he wasn't packaged as Goldust? No.
I feel like he left the company pretty sharpish. He was estranged from Dusty at this point, I believe, and the gimmick didn't help going up forward, but there was always work for him elsewhere, seeing as he was the son of Dusty Rhodes, and I feel like he'd have, landed on his feet, and just like Cody did, years later. So
I like Dustin Runnels in WCW. Cammy mentioned up by the last pause the War Games match, one of my favourite matches of all time, and he's really good in it. And that kind of tough guy Texan character, another tough guy Texan character did pretty well for himself, but I think unfortunately Dustin would have just kind of fell into obscurity over the course of a year or two. I don't think that character his character of that had enough charisma really about it to stand up. And regarding Cody Rhodes, actually, he's had to create his own company to get that character over.
Number one, what character? Cody hasn't got a character. He's just Cody Rhodes. And I don't mean that as a compliment, because I find him fucking miserably boring, other than, say, a few programs with his brother, the original stuff when he first left WWE that he done with Nick Aldis, and the NWA title was really interesting. But, as far as AEW goes in current product, he's not exactly the most interesting. The fact that he's supposed to put that company over, I just find amusing.
And that's what Dustin in this era would have been like if he tried to do that kind of gimmick.
Yeah, aye. He definitely, it's a stroke of genius on his part and kept him relevant for years to come, to the point in which when he did eventually leave, every other gimmick he tried to do since then was kind of in the same realm of just complete oddball shit. Obviously nowhere near as successful. Again, reference Black Rain because it's hilarious, but I
think we should give Dustin massive props for his due on taking that concrete bump Like there's a bit towards the start of the match where he takes this big clothesline off Marty and he does like this big flip and then lands. I don't know if it's necessarily a flip or whatever, but he lands definitely. It's Dude Love and Unforgiven tier territory in terms of how sore it fucking looked.
Mm.
I feel like all we've done is really talk about Dustin. Again, maybe we should talk about Marty. He seems to come to the ring covered in post-its. He's like a soccer mum's fridge.
It was actually, see when the music kicked off, I just took a total blank who was going to come out. I'm like, is it going to be the New Rockers? Is it going to be the Rock and Roll Express? I didn't, for some bizarre reason, I just did not expect Mark Jannetty to walk out. And when I did, I got a wee pang of sadness. This is a guy that had, I remember he was supposed to be better than Shawn. He was a breakout star of the Rockers in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They did have a good feud, and he did a lot of great stuff in kind of about 92, 93, 94 solo matches and that, just himself in singles. But what a waste.
Yeah.
It's on himself though, isn't it? Really, and that's what kind of, because I get that same tinge, but then again, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people that have that. Like, there's a lot of people out there on the bottom of the card who it doesn't come to naturally, but by God, they work hard. And then there's some other people who are immensely talented and they just throw it down the fucking drain. And I struggle to sympathize with those people a lot. And although Marty by no means was ever at the top of the card, he was immensely talented. Even up to later on in his career when he was on the Indies, I've heard some fantastic stories about how he conducted himself, the way he worked in those later years and stuff. I feel sad for what could have been, but I don't sympathise with the man, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That thing for, was it last year, the year before, him and his adopted daughter?
Mm-hmm.
You just know what I'm talking about? Yeah. No, basically I went and discovered that some girl that he was fan into, his adopted daughter, it was his real daughter. So I can't remember the details now, but it was really, really weird. He was basically asking people on social media, is it okay for him to pursue a relationship with this person because it's not his biological daughter?
What the fuck?
But he has been a father to her.
I just want to go on record as running back that entire statement I made and saying this guy's a complete and utter piece of shit, and he was an untalented clown.
I'll find the link and send you it.
I think the last 20 years of his life have basically been the plot of like a Lars von Trier film. It's then like yeah.
Slightly more comedic than that, to be fair, but yeah, I would agree.
Not very. There's one other noteworthy thing in this, which is they cut to a vampire in the crowd, they don't cut to a vampire, they cut to a guy dressed as a vampire. And all throughout the match, I was like, what the fuck is that about? And then I realised and I googled it, and it was because the event took place on October 22nd.
Right, okay.
That was the only noteworthy thing, but it's still no excuse to cut to a vampire in the crowd.
No, I want to point out, right, if anyone's fucking listening to this and watching along the pay-per-view, however the fuck you consume this podcast, right, keep an eye on this guy. And when Razor Ramon runs out later to fucking fuck with my boy Dean Douglas, my reaction mirrors that Bela Lugosi looking fella. My eyes sunken, my skin white, and oh my God. Because there's a great shot where Ramon runs down to the ring, and everyone sits down in their seat, but the Lugosi guy is still standing to attention, looking just as shocked as I was. Oh man, he was the star of the show.
I like that Freudian slip where you said Razor Ramon running down to his ring.
Yeah.
that tells you everything about this pay-per-view.
It wasn't called Razor's Edge, the pay-per-view.
Oh man.
You reminded me of something actually, not to talk about the Smoking Guns match, but during the match, in the front row, the hard cam, there was a guy arguing with somebody about his seat. And I got fascinated with that. The guy's like pointing to his ticket and he's showing him it, and the guy's like, no, he's showing him his ticket, but the guy's like trying to split him, no, this is my seat, and you can see him having a bit of an altercation, and the guy eventually moves, and the guy's sitting there, you can see him feel like, dick, kind of smug and happy he's got his seat.
That's the best storyline all year on this fucking show.
I was about to say, if you're listening along and you want to know
Don't bother. We've lost them. We've lost them, Ollie. They are gone. They are not following this.
Do not watch this pay-per-view because all we've spoken about is Gold Dust and a vampire and two guys fighting over a thing.
There's nothing else to talk about.
We're covering Marty Jannetty versus Goldust, and now it's turned into a vampire having a stare down with Scott Hall.
What do you think? Guys, how do you think the confrontation over the chair would have been if Bela Lugosi had made a run in?
If they've booked a match for the next pay-per-view, it would have been a chair and a pole match.
He would have defected to WWE and had a feud with the Yeti.
My favourite bit actually of that whole match is when Jerry Lawler goes, "It's Bill Lugosi," and Vince McMahon goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" The man's been dead for 10. Oh, never mind. There he is.
Well, yeah. One other small little thing before we move on is Vince drops the commentary line. So, what type of film do you think Goldust is going through the now, or he's imagining? And Jim Ross says something either by Wes Craven or Stephen King. And to the best of my knowledge, Stephen King has directed one film, which was Maximum Overdrive in 1986, which was complete shite. Famed film director Stephen King. In a way, that sort of encapsulates this pay-per-view.
This isn't the podcast for it, but I will die on the hill defending Maximum Overdrive.
Does a guy not get killed by a vending machine in that film?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll die on the hill that man deserved to win the battle over that seat. That's still. I'll watch that instead of Money in the Bank this year.
I'll die on the hill. They should have booked Vampire Guy versus Razor Ramon.
They shouldn't call him Bela Lugosi though. It should just be Vampire Guy from In Your House 4, and that's what the title card should say.
And this is before it was trended to be a famous fan and dress up like a fucking clown or anything.
I WWF's quite bad for their plants, but just the way this man behaves throughout the pay-per-view and the way the camera struggles to get a hold on him, he is not a fucking plant.
But for that guy to have booed Razor or say something to him, and the clip would have got him booked in a match just to bury him.
Anyway,
Marty Jannetty versus Goldust. You know what? You've the crowd reception, by which I mean the three of you, has been so good that I'm going to give it another star. I'm bringing it up to 2 out of 5.
Basically what you're saying is that you have enjoyed our displeasure at this tire.
Enjoyed the hypothetical Razor Ramon vampire stare down so much that it actively affected my critique of this match.
We're not even on to the stare down technically, but yeah. Yes. Like at the end of the day, I'm not going to put over anything in this pay-per-view. So yeah,
I'm looking at like my notes, and there's like 3 matches left, and I'm already counting them down.
I wish I kept my notes. I literally wrote In Your House, and then Canada started, and I wrote, "Oh, what the fuck, Canada." And then I got the first match in halfway through. I just wrote "fuck it" and then thrown the book away.
To be honest, my notes are just the card and no.
It's so Vince McMahon though, isn't it? Hey, we're going to do a pay-per-view in Canada. We're going to have the Canadian national anthem sung at the start of it. And how many Canadians are going to be in the national event? The main event? 0.
Oh.
And I'm not
that guy that's friends with the Canadians, though. He's in it.
Being brother-in-law of a Canadian does not count.
They were in kayfabe, not even friends at this point.
You have Bret Hart and Owen Hart wrestle dark matches
on this night.
Yeah. So fair enough, the crowd are going to get to see the hometown boys type idea, the home country boys. But come on, it's a pay-per-view called the Great White North, and you put Bret Hart in a fucking dark match against Isaac Yankem.
Fuck you, Canada.
Right, moving on to match number 4, the pinnacle of everyone's night, Yokozuna versus Mabel.
Nope.
Yay or nay? No.
Didn't happen.
No.
The worst match I have ever seen. And I will die on that hill. Happily.
There's nothing good about this match.
You won't be able to say anything right now that will convince me that there is a better professional wrestling match ever.
It's just.
Yeah, it was a recipe for disaster.
It is.
Yokozuna looked big, by the way. Like, scary big here. I know we say this every time, but it's like every time for some reason I'm still surprised. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, go see a doctor.
He went from being a thin, fat man at Triple Header to being a fat man at the Great White North.
Thin fat man's nice, but you know that's just you, Lewis. He was consistently a fat fuck throughout his career.
It's like, Ollie, you know how like you'll say it was a match when you're trying to be polite about a terrible match.
Yeah.
You can't even say that about this because it wasn't even a match.
No, we had to stop it.
It wasn't. It was just, I don't know what it was.
It was like watching a walrus fight compilation on YouTube. I mean, it was.
They were confused. I was confused.
I'd have liked to, before the match, just like poured cooking oil over them and just seen what happened.
If
Yoko could like grab Mabel in like a bear hug and just have him like shoot out his arms.
You know that bit when Yokozuna defeats The Undertaker and The Undertaker flies into the air, never to be seen again? If you were to grab Yokozuna with any force and he's covered in cooking oil, he would also shoot into the air and never be seen again.
This is going to sound completely unrelated, but there was an article I was reading earlier on the day. It was talking about when Bob Backlund dropped the belt to Diesel at the house show at MSG, and Backlund was apparently furious after he took the power bomb. He had such a stiff back, and he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how hard that ring canvas was." When you look at this, and there is at least 1.5 metric tons of people in the ring at any given time, no fuck it, they had to have a lot of faith in that wooden canvas.
There was also the famous free-for-all match with Yokozuna and Austin, where Yokozuna rips the top rope off, we're going for the banzai drop, and I'm still not sure to this day if it was gimmicked or not. But Austin got out of the way, thankfully, otherwise there'd be no Stone Cold.
I think I have been, I wouldn't say uncharacteristically nasty, because it's kind of in character as far as I've conveyed myself on this podcast, but I think I've been nasty to Yokozuna, calling him a fat fucking whatever. If there's anyone that I'm frustrated at, when I see someone that unhealthy, I just get frustrated, kind of thing, you know, especially if they're getting put over in a professional wrestling match. I think, man, you just want to give his family a little bit of a shake. You know what I mean?
Sad to see watching back.
Yeah.
You just
like,
see how much bigger he's getting each and every pay-per-view we're watching. There's not a big difference in time between them, and you're like,
no,
Jesus, man, especially knowing how it turns out.
Yeah, it's the speed. Like, if I don't know, we saw him as a thin fat man at In Your House 3, and say,
sorry,
one like the 97-98 pay-per-views, he was much bigger. You'd be like, oh, but yeah, it's the fact it's there's an In Your House to an In Your House, and the step change is quite concerning.
And to give out about one last thing in regards to this match, because, you know, there's fucking hell, we're not running out of topics here. How the fuck is Mabel being put over for breaking the Undertaker's orbital bone? If he had broken Michael's orbital bone, he'd have been fucking shit canned in a minute.
He nearly paralysed Diesel at SummerSlam when he did the leg drop and landed on his back.
It begs belief that a man's WWE career was like nearly like 15 years long.
I had to Google it again to say because I was just sitting there like, there's no way this man is getting better screen time because he's been dangerous. Surely you don't encourage that behaviour. But you are. You're subsequently encouraging him to be dangerous by giving him more screen time after being a dangerous dick. You know what I mean? And hell, he looked like he was relishing in it. He was like, this is the match of the night. He gave that little look toward the ramp when Yokozuna hobbled down. You know, just ridiculous. Sorry. Yeah.
I like how we're not even bothering to give the matches ratings. Now we're just so desperate to get this thing over with.
I mean, do you want to tie this to a number? Or just want to let just the unbridled fury just pour into this podcast? Like, Someone's going to listen, like, you know how Charles Manson had listened to the Beatles and that's apparently drove him crazy? People are going to listen to this podcast backwards and just, like, start a cult.
This is going to be like the videotape from The Ring.
Yeah.
We're just going to end up, like, crawling through people's television sets to tell them not to watch In Your House 4.
I like how Ollie's reply to that was essentially, that would be an insult to numbers, Lewis.
Don't bring numbers into this. They don't deserve this.
I'm going to use numbers, letters, Roman numerals, anything. No, the worst thing about this match is as well, if I can even call it that, even the in-ring action, it's the ending. It's not even a double count out, but the fact that they're this stare down, then embrace. This feud went nowhere.
Why did they hug at the end of it? Why?
Not to play into your Roman numerals bit there, Thomas, but it is In Your House IV, and I think many people needed an IV drip after watching this fucking thing.
That was worse than
that's your word per list.
Oh.
I'm gonna actually use a letter grading system for these matches, and everyone is Y. just Y.
Cornette.
Dean Douglas should have given it a D.
Cornette deserved a little bonus for the night. He's on screen more than anyone, I think, at this point. Yeah, I have nothing to say here. This is ridiculous.
He's like herpes, man. He just keeps appearing.
So
up next we have the Survivor Series 1995 promo. They mentioned the incomparable Bret Hart, which is funny considering most of 95 they were trying to replace him. Let's not kid ourselves. He didn't win the Rumble. He was not in the Mania main event. He wasn't even the SummerSlam main event. He worked with Isaac Yankem. Let's not kid ourselves. For most of 95, they were really trying to quietly get rid of Bret.
I'm sure if you listened hard enough, you would hear the frustration as he said, incomparable.
Incomparable!
God damn it!
Mm-hmm. Where he's either going to work against Bulldog or Diesel. Gee, I wonder who he's going to work against. The man he hasn't worked against in 4 years, British Bulldog, or the man he's already worked with twice this year, Diesel. It's a real open-ended tease there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a guy who's really good pals with the owner, and his buddies all kind of run the show, or that British guy.
It's almost like a preemptive spoiler. So yeah, it's like, and again, Diesel's like the last person they show in the promo against Bret. So again, there's no point in even holding out any hope for Bulldog. Match number 5, we have Dean Douglas versus Razor Ramon. I feel like we have to yay this. I will ask it for everyone's a yay or nay.
No, I'm going to say yay, just so I hear Cammy shoot on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
As if I were there.
Sick him, Cammy. Sick him.
Like I said, imagine me, right? I was having the time of my fucking life watching Michaels hobble to the ring with tears in his eyes and having to hand over that belt to my boy, Dean Douglas. And let's keep in mind, I forgot to watch the opening promo by Carmella Monsoon. So just as Michaels was walking away, and that fucking music hit, I was on my feet. Me and Bela Lugosi in the crowd were mirrored in both stance and skin tone as Ramon ran down to the ring, and I knew what was about to happen, and I screamed the whole time. Because as I was watching the initial, the second he got the belt and he takes it off and then he's like, yes, I won. I wanted his music to hit. I wanted fireworks to happen. I wanted it to be as if he just won the WrestleMania main event. I wanted it to be rubbed in everyone's face. 1, because fuck Michaels, but 2, it'd have been the ultimate heel move and the start of a fantastic program that they could have milked for a millennia. But no, that's not how the Fed works. Michaels would have been like, I'm not fucking doing that. In fact, I've got a better idea. And then, oh man, to be fair, it was a good match because obviously Douglas carried Ramon the entire way because that's the only way it could have been a good match. But yeah, I just can't figure this out, guys. I don't understand how 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon are fucking over his faces, despite the fact they do nothing but play heels. I don't understand how McMahon, who is notoriously hard-headed, just seems to do whatever the fuck Michaels tells him to do, at a point where he could literally go bankrupt. Like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm going to shut up now. You know how I feel about this.
I only have kind of one zinger regarding Shawn Michaels' little incident in Syracuse with the Marines. If you saw a man wearing that jacket, you would fight him on general principle.
Yeah.
Do you think what happened is he was sitting in the bar and word got to him, like, so we want you to put Dean Douglas over. So you've got no choice. Well, I'm not doing it. This is what you got to do. Not do the match. You got no show. But no, I'm going to go start a fight with those guys over there and get injured. And you can imagine him goading them, and the Marines are like, "Look, mate, fuck off." And he just keeps goading them and goading them because he really doesn't want to do this match. But apparently, and this is something I've read or heard, and it was totally unrelated to watching this pay-per-view. Funnily enough, there's a bit of kind of synchronicity in the universe. Apparently, Shawn Michaels had makeup put on to make his injuries look worse when they came out.
Fuck off. Bullshit.
I've heard that.
He started that. He fucking started
Was
that.
he not hitting on some Marine's girlfriend, and that was what ended up causing it or something? That was that's about as much backstory as I've heard.
That's right for me.
No matter what the context would be, he could have been saving a child from a fire. He still deserved it. And there's just no way he didn't deserve a fucking beating consistently.
Yeah.
All the time.
Jacket.
Well,
oh my god.
Getting on the match, I just want to say it's very bold of Vince to put these guys together again after that absolutely disastrous match at Triple Header.
See, here's the thing that really annoys me about this match. See, if I was watching this back in 1995, I was cool with it. I was like, okay, Dean Douglas, the bad guy. Boo, he's been given a belt for nothing. Boo, boo. Oh yeah, the good guy's going to come out. Razor's going to beat him. Yeah, blah, blah. Watching it now, like, fuck off. There's no reason this has been booked in any other way but to bury Dean Douglas.
Yeah.
Just vacate the title, okay, and then both guys fight for it. That's fine. But no, let's give Dean the title so Razor can win it from him and bury him.
I hate that.
End of the match doesn't make any sense.
As much as we all universally loathe the Click, I feel like had Scott really wanted it, he could have went home with 2 titles. I mean, I can't imagine he would have politicked very hard to get that tag team strap off the Smoking Guns either. I mean, it's like maybe Scott was a little bit easier with doing business, but obviously it was maybe some other members of the Click that were like, no, you need to go over tonight.
I find it more realistic that he just couldn't be fucking bothered to carry 2 belts.
But he did in WCW. In WCW, he was the US and the TV champ at the same time.
He was doing more drugs then.
Yeah, David noticed he had 2 belts. But apparently... Sorry. No, I was just basically... It's like... A part of the story as well where Jacques Rougeau, the pirate guy, he was fighting Diesel in Montreal, and he said, look, I don't want to get beat. Have a disqualification, have a countdown. It basically invoked the Bret Hart rule before the Bret Hart rule was a thing. Basically, it's just got the Montreal rule. So he refused to lose to Diesel cleanly. And apparently Diesel was cool with it. Diesel was fine. But Shawn said, nope, it's not happening.
I'm sure I mentioned this at Triple Header that he went behind him and went jackknife.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, he was listening to another podcast earlier as well.
I like how we're in complete limbo watching these 1995 pay-per-views, and it just seems never ending.
But then this is the point exactly, though. As long as the Click was in power, storyline-wise, progression-wise, the company would stay in stasis because nothing would progress forward because they didn't want it to. They were too busy getting paid and their ego stroked. And at a point in which the company direly needed it, they thought, fuck that. I actually think there was a quiet confidence in every single one of them because I bet they were sitting there thinking, well, I'll continue to be a star. And even if the ship sinks, there's another ship now, so I could just fuck off there and be a star. Mm-hmm. That attitude alone, although I am obviously just speculating, but they're doing nothing but prove me right with every single fucking action that they make. as we progress through these pay-per-views.
I mean, you mentioned as well, Cam, the fact that like Razor's fighting like a heel. The ending of this match doesn't even make any sense from a babyface point of view.
Razor has the laziest cover of all time. It's like he doesn't even bother to pin him. He just puts his arm across him in a very bored.
That's wrestling logic. That's wrestling logic, and it's logic that in this context I just can't stand. Where they're like, oh well, we're not really burying Dean Douglas because it looked like they both pinned each other, so it was a draw. But we're going to put Razor over anyway, so it's okay that.
It was a leg, was inside the rope.
What? Yeah, but what I'm saying, but this is what I'm saying though, is it's that wrestling logic wherein you could argue that Dean Douglas didn't lose, despite even though Razor's going over, you could be like, yeah, it's okay though, because Douglas didn't technically lose, so we're not burying him. So it gives them free reign to fucking do what they want.
Yeah, I get that. It's just for me, it's all kind of heel aspect. But that's the kind of thing you see the babyface doing the leg was out, and you're like, oh no, they get a big pay-per-view rematch and stuff. But even Vince is screaming, going, "Don't be stupid, King." Razor won fair and square. And he's clearly see the fucking replay, and his legs upside down. He's half out. His fucking legs on the ground. You know, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe. Oh, the ref made a mistake. Oh well. So they even buried it even further there. Because they're saying not only did Razor beat you with a lazy cover, he shouldn't even have beat you. In fact, you should have won that match maybe, but he didn't because you're Dean Douglas and he's Razor Ramon. Know your role.
I don't think I'd have minded this. I don't think I'd mind Razor in this era if he was putting a shift in. Do you know what I mean? But there's evidence in every single match that we watched where he'll do the minimum of what's required to put himself over. Not his opponent, himself over. And then that's it, full stop. Because, I mean, obviously earlier on, before the stronghold of the Clique, etc., he had some fantastic matches. But now we're in this horrific era where I need to keep watching Razor Ramon matches, and even he doesn't want to fucking be there. So
yeah, that's the real fucking rub for me.
Yeah,
is that he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's what really, really sticks in my craw. It's just, I get it. It's like a job, like everything else. Like we're doing this, and we're not that into it, and that's fine. But it's just like, just come on, man. Just look like you give a shit.
Yeah.
Just look like you fucking care, and that would probably make things a lot better. It's just the fact that you're just going through the motions, man. It's just, yeah.
To be fair, the Clique would never have been as strong if it weren't for the fans. They were still reacting positively to him, despite the fact they were getting the bare minimum out of him. So really, yeah. I blame young Thomas.
Yeah, I blame Thomas as well.
I feel like Shane Douglas is the ultimate thing about, you know, the Chris Jericho's interview that Vince completely hates yes men. Like if Vince gives you something, you're supposed to say, no, Vince, I want to do it my way. Like there was, I think we all know the story about how when Razor Ramon was originally going to come in, he was going to get given the kind of Sergeant Slaughter soldier gimmick, and obviously he said, have you seen Scarface? And Vince goes, no, and then obviously he sort of models his character after Tony Montana. It kind of felt like Shane, I wouldn't say it was a yes man or anything like that, but it kind of felt like had he said, no, Vince, here's what I want to be, and then provided an alternative, like Vince doesn't want you to agree with him completely 100%. He always wants that bit of pushback. Like we've all heard the stories about how, you know, Sean would go in there and just start fucking yelling at the boss with absolutely zero repercussions. I think Vince likes that push and pull kind of dynamic with his guys.
I think it depends. I think it really depends on where this guy is on the tier. Shawn Michaels in 1992 isn't walking into Vince's office and shouting and bawling. Shawn Michaels in 1996, however, is different.
Yeah.
People always say Vince isn't like yes men. I disagree because he's fucking surrounded by them.
At the moment he is, yeah.
Now he's a complete yes man.
And
I wouldn't bet as far as 90s Vince goes, I feel like maybe it's the opposite.
It's possible, but at the same time, you're gonna get these guys that they wouldn't have had the balls to send to Vince until they're established stars anyway. And when they're established star, Vince isn't going to just cut you. He's not just going to say to Shawn Michaels because he comes in and shoots some balls at him and he's a height he's promised. Well, you're gone.
Mm.
I think Vince would let it slide depending on where your status was to the company. I don't imagine who's in the dark match here. Radford walking in his office before this pay-per-view and saying, I'm not doing the job for Bob Holly.
That ain't going to work for me, bud.
Yeah, I want to be on the main card. and Vince going, I like the cut of your jib, son.
That's rad.
It's the Team America line. You've got the balls. I like balls.
Do you know the worst thing is? Rad Radcliffe was actually Louis Piccoli.
Oh.
So he should have been on the main card.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that I had this job and the owner CEO was an absolute fucking nutcase, and he is like the absolute fucking mirror of Vince McMahon. Like, I worked for Vince McMahon. And it's like one of that, because it's like you're talking about Yes Men, and Vince doesn't like Yes Men. He didn't like Yes Men either. He liked when you shouted at him. And yeah, so yeah, I worked for Vince McMahon, and let me tell you, I had to go into antidepressants. So anyone who makes a name for themselves under Vince McMahon, God bless them.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really that much more to cover in this match, isn't it? I mean, it's a fairly straightforward ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of match. The only thing I sort of remembered after it was we get the Superstars line ad where you get to talk to the wrestlers, and Sean seems to be very busy on the phone. And I was thinking, oh, who's he phoning? And then I remembered it was probably Sonny.
Oh, God bless her.
Yeah. Right, we're on our last match here now, which is the main event, which is British Bulldog versus Diesel for the world title. I feel like I'm stripping the yay or nay democratic principle because I think we have to talk about this ad nauseum. Obviously, to begin with, we get Brett coming down to join JR and Vince and Jim on commentary. I think it's safe to say that this is the last time that Brett and Vince were hugging and smiling regarding a Survivor Series.
Yes. And do you know what? I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, saying why is Bret Hart not wrestling the main card of this? I forgot that was that real strange rule in wrestling where if you're going to do some kind of appearance through the night, you kind of wrestled earlier on because wrestlers just fucking combust or something once they wrestle or they go home, disappear. I do really like this match. I love the ending. I love how the whole thing kind of closes out, which we'll get to, but I quite enjoyed this pay-per-view. I lie. I quite enjoyed this match.
What a swerve that was, Thomas. It was me, Austin.
Me, damn it. I liked this pay-per-view all along.
Yeah, again, this is really Diesel's last pay-per-view, but he's going to hold the title. It still feels very, very much like the company's still committed to running on Diesel power. But yeah, of course, it wouldn't be. According to Brett's book, Vince absolutely hated this match to the point where, and I wish the cameras had picked this up. According to Brett, Vince actually adjusted the mic set and looked at Kevin Nash and mouthed the word "horrible." And I wish he was still wearing the headset when, because that would have been like the most out of character Vince thing to do, is just also what a minute horrible, and then just go back to regular commentary. I would have genuinely gave this 4 out of 5 stars had that audio been
that
kept.
Clip for The Office, the Michael Scott's like this.
Yeah, if the mask had just fallen off and Vince had like just screamed horrible at one of his employees, I would have actually enjoyed this match. But apart from that, no. Yeah, I am also going to adjust my mic set and mouth the words horrible. This match was 20 minutes long. 20 minutes long.
It was about 15 minutes too long at that.
It felt like it was an hour long. It was just, oh Jesus Christ, man! Now, I can't believe I watched this.
Bella Lugosi actually broke character for this one.
Is there an IMDb for like pay-per-views, and I'll check out the star rating of it, and if it's like less than, I don't know, 3 stars, I'll just pretend.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be like, I really enjoyed when Dean Douglas came out covered in cooking oil and just disappeared into the fucking stratosphere, and we never saw him again.
I want to say that the gold standard for big man versus technician matches is Brett and Taker from SummerSlam '97. Why is it a match like that works, whereas this absolutely doesn't?
British Bulldog's too big to be defined as a technician. And also, not that technical when you're comparing him next to the likes of an Owen or Bret Hart. Why the fuck wasn't Owen in this?
Also, Bret Hart and The Undertaker are good.
Now, Brett mentions on commentary about 7 minutes in that he holds absolutely no animosity towards Bulldog because he's. And I thought at this point, why not just ring the fucking bell and give Diesel the belt? I mean, it's like there's no point in even going any further with this.
He struggles to contain it. At first I thought, fucking hell, his commentary is making this more miserable. But as he got more petty, I was like, actually, this is kind of interesting. So look at that sharpshooter, it's locked in. Brett goes, no, it isn't. I was like, God, you carny fuck. I loved it. He's so. I mean, I think that because I've given out about Brett in the past, because in reality, there's a point where his pettiness just gets ridiculous, but. By God, is it endearing in this match?
Oh, absolutely.
It's so childish.
Retroactively, like the way Brett talks about, the superstars of today, I wish he had just went on and completely sandbagged this entire pay-per-view. I wish he had been a permanent fixture at that commentary table. What did you think of the Smoking Guns versus the 1-2-3? It was a real 4 out of 10 match at best.
I was very interested in that guy trying to get his seat.
We were like a few minutes of airtime away from a proper shoot interview at ringside.
There was like only one kind of noteworthy spot, well, not even noteworthy, but just one spot that kind of I got up about, and that was Bulldog giving Diesel the power slam, and for no other reason than it always looks like an ant trying to pick up a watermelon, despite the size of Bulldog. That was like,
I mean, there's a time and a place for power slams, but in a main event, really. Like, it's the first move you're taught at wrestling school, and I feel like it's the only move he actually does have, and that is the point where that is the point when you start making look like a Bulldog look like a technician. You know what I mean? Because he was too big. They were both just too big.
And again, both of them are pretty much smoked 5 minutes into this. I mean, they were absolutely cooked. I mean, there was 15 minutes of huffing and panting and just lockholds, and it just does not go anywhere.
It's because he's got to fucking flow all the blood to those muscles, man. Like, that's legitimately the reason why he's so smoked is because he's got to carry the match. Yeah. But he's like, hold on, I have to carry the match? Where's Owen? Like, he's not built for the main event scene. And I think this match exemplifies that. That's why I didn't want to go into it too much earlier, because I feel like you don't need to say anything, just watch this.
There's two big hindrances to this match. Number one, that it's not 5 minutes long, and number two, that Bulldog isn't 7 foot tall, so it's very hard to once again create a babyface dynamic with Diesel.
Well, no, I sincerely believe that if instead of going for a booking it like technician versus big man, and if they'd have just done Bulldog might be smaller, but he's just as strong as Diesel, that might have been a little bit more interesting than what we did end up getting.
All that had to do was say it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And that could have been...
I still think Bulldog's too big for that pattern.
He is, but nothing in this pay-per-view has made any sense.
Yeah, I suppose.
You can just throw away lines like that. I did like the ending though. I liked the disqualification angle with Bret Hart getting involved. Mm-hmm. You didn't really see a lot. You didn't see a lot of stuff like this back then as well. So you kind of put it in the context of the time, and when Diesel kind of just pushes him, it's really like whoa. And then he gets into the ring and attacks him, and you get the crowd, the locker room spills out to try and put him apart. It really sells Survivor Series for me.
But it's the third screwy finish of the night.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of screwy finishes in your house matches we've noticed. It seems to be a thing.
I don't know, like, I don't know if it's because my head and my experience with actual wrestling people on a mat, but at the end, I despite that, I still didn't feel like convincingly Diesel and Brett were having a shoot, like, no, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't look, I just looked at that, I don't know if it's because I was completely done by that point, but I just there was nothing sincere came out of the screen for me about that.
I was very fatigued by this point, and nothing in this match and the post match really got me going again.
We have to talk about how
I watched this I watched half of this, then put it away for a while because I was fatigued after like the first two matches. Then went back to it. So I went at this match a lot kind of fresher, and I think it's a fact that we've also got Diesel and Bret are two baby faces, and two baby faces having this kind of interaction in the ring.
That makes it worse.
I liked it.
It makes it worse. It doesn't make any sense.
But we have to talk about how tragic it is that Bam Bam is confined to a 7-second cameo at the end.
Yeah.
Did he have a dark match?
He did.
Right, he got a payday.
Okay.
Him and Savio Vega teamed up against Yokozuna in Owen Hart.
Oh God.
Because Yokozuna had two matches that night.
Well, to be fair, he did. I thought he looked spectacularly gassed in his match.
He walked to the ring twice.
Right, okay. That explains it, because there's Yokozuna gassed and there was Tonight gassed.
No. The match with Owen Hart was after.
Oh, Jesus. That poor man. It's a miracle. I have a newfound respect for Yokozuna.
If you think that the main matches were bad, don't get wrong, we were robbed of Bret Hart versus Izzy Yankum and seeing Owen, but Henry Godwin beat Sid in a fucking dark match.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I feel like with No Way Out of Texas, we were able to make a silk purse out of a cat's ear, but I don't even know if we can do that with this. I don't know. All we've done is incoherent rambling about some vampires and okay.
I feel like I'm trying to pedigree Kane and he keeps bumping on his knees. Like, I just can't actually. I'm being sandbagged at every turn by this, trying to make this entertaining, because there's just nothing to fucking talk about. But somehow,
it's just I'm being fucking no sold by something that's 25 years old.
25 stone, you mean?
Yeah.
So, lads, in summarisation, what do we make of In Your House for the Great White North? I'm going to go a generous 1.5 out of 5.
That is generous.
That is very generous.
I'm just going to go.
Not tying it to numbers.
Just
I'm no longer doing a star rating because it just seems unfair to numbers, as always said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to risk my reputation any further by continuing to talk about this pay-per-view.
I feel like if anything's going to get me cancelled in terms of having an opinion, it will be that I watched In Your House for the Great White North.
Could have been worse. You could have watched it and enjoyed it.
True. The thing is, we'll get a couple of seasons or pay-per-views down the line, and I'll be talking about SummerSlam 2002, and someone will just reply with me talking about In Your House 4 with this you.
I was going to add a bit extra to this match, just what you're saying, Lewis, regarding Vince and the headset thing, just kind of reading this here. It was after the match, apparently, said fucking horrible to Diesel as he threw his headset off, got backstage and just tore into Bruce Pritchard. Bulldog went backstage and apologised to the agents, and Kevin Nash later said this match was a sign his time in the company was coming to an end. This was October 1995 and he was still here in March 2016, so I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But you can imagine Vince screaming and bawling at Bruce, and somebody just said to Bruce, just speak back to him, he'll be fine. Do you know what, Vince? I'm gonna take this fucking shit.
It's fine. Lewis Finley told me that Vince ain't got shit. It's cool. He'll put me over now. To be fair, that whole argument about him not liking Yes Men, that's a good point. Bruce Pritchard's been there since, he's been there longer than Mabel. So, figure that one out.
Pat Patterson.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we can figure that one out, Cammy. I mean, Mabel is no longer with us. That does make it a bit easier for him to still be with the company. I mean, one of them's dead.
Thank God, I thought you were about to talk about Pat Patterson there.
Yeah, so did that.
I was like, Okay, cool. This was painful.
Quick question before we all wrap up: is anybody going to watch Extreme Rules at some point? Or the next 24?
I might wait and just pick and choose like I did with Backlash, because I just ended up watching the greatest wrestling match ever.
What are we talking about?
Extreme Rules is tonight.
I just want to see how Rey Mysterio or what's his name, Seth Rollins, is going to pull out the others. I want to see how that one works.
I want to see this horror swamp match.
Yeah, it sounds complete shit, but also really intriguing.
I want to put forward to you that after the pandemic's done, the crowds return, the cinematic matches die out, they have the slammies, and then they say, and the slammy goes to the man, the man who gave us the cinematic match, all these fantastic gimmicks, and then you have like a darkness moment where a hood tears off and it's Vince Russo. It was me.
Well, yeah, Thomas, I think I'll hold off on Extreme Rules. So the only thing from the modern product that I'm interested in watching is the Undertaker cartoon that they seem to be plugging on Instagram. So I'll hold off on that as well.
Is that fucking Camp WWE?
Yes.
Yeah, it keeps getting suggested to me. I remember watching like an episode out of it out of like morbid curiosity.
It's all right. I watched it's something that gets better as it goes on.
Okay, because I watched the first episode and I was like, who is this for?
Oh, it's a very strange kind of target audience they have.
Yeah, it's like it's a cartoon for kids, but it's not really a cartoon for kids.
Well, WWE is redneck. It's anime for rednecks, as is famously quoted. So not only are you going for a niche demographic, you're going for a niche demographic inside a niche demographic.
Yeah, I might get like really like drunk or high and just like fucking watch it or something.
If it's not NXT, I don't really watch it.
That can be the Patreon bonus episode.
I think the fact that Vince McMahon voices it himself is the best thing.
Yeah, like what the hell, man? Yeah, in fact, yeah, Patreon. Subscribe to our Patreon. I'll get really drunk and play like WCW Mayhem, or I'll get really drunk and watch Camp WWE. You can just listen to 5 hours of me rambling.
Or crying. Just sobbing quietly into the microphone.
Right, guys, In Your House, Over the Edge, 1998, next week.
Sure.
Sounds like a plan.
I'll try anything at this point.
What I'd like to say is thank you for listening, but also
thank you for bearing with us.
You need to thank us for watching In Your House 4, so you didn't have to.
If you did watch it beforehand and some kind of threats, you know what we're talking about. I'm sorry.
We're just sorry for this one.
And on that note, I'm leaving. Right, ta-ra guys. Take care.
Guys.
Right.